You might wonder what happens to your estate or to your spouse's estate. Well, you're thinking, well, we have a will and that says what happens to your estate. And if you have a good, effective will, you're right. But what if you don't have a will? Or even more surprising, what if you have a will that doesn't provide protections for you by protections, what I'm talking about is a trust. So I'm sure I've confused you already. I just said a will and a trust. A will itself can contain a trust. It's called a testamentary trust. And these are really important to have when you are in a blended family. Let's say you're kind of like the Brady Bunch. You have children, your spouse has children, but they're not joint children. So if you and your spouse simply have a will that says, on the death of the first, everything goes to the surviving spouse outright, then, and that's what most people do have, then let's say you die first and your will says, I want everything to go to my spouse, and then when my spouse is gone, everything goes equally to the 6 children, your 3 and your spouse's 3. Well, is that actually what's going to happen? You're probably not surprised to hear that not necessarily, because if you die first and everything goes to your spouse outright, well, is your spouse able to change his will? Absolutely, yes, he is. And so he can change his will after you're gone to say, guess what? Everything goes to his 3 children. Or oftentimes what happens is your spouse gets remarried, and so all of your assets went to your spouse, and now your spouse is remarried, and guess what? Then he dies and everything goes to the new spouse, somebody you've never married, and that person gets all of the assets. This is commonly called an I love you will, when everything goes to the surviving spouse without asset protections. What can you do to make sure that your children inherit from you if you are the first spouse to die? Well, one of the easiest things to do is put in your will that on your death, everything will go to a trust for your spouse, for your husband, for example. And if all your assets go to the trust for your spouse, and there's all sorts of different kinds of trusts, I don't want to get into that right now. Let's just say generically a trust, what will happen? Well, the assets will be available for your spouse during his lifetime, but on his death, he cannot redirect them elsewhere. Those assets will go where you say you want them to go. So that could be, for example, to the 6 kids, if that's what you wanted, or just to your 3 children. It really is up to you. So if you are in a situation where it's a blended family, where your children aren't the same as your spouse's children, they're not joint children, make sure you see an estate planning and elder law attorney to make sure that your wishes will be carried out after you're gone.